Welcome back. Well, accidents can happen anytime, anywhere. In our first segment, you heard from Angie, who was struck by a motorcycle and suffered a traumatic brain injury.
And now we want you to meet Jacob, who suffered injuries while on the job. Life-threatening injuries that 2 trauma surgeons and an entire staff worked tirelessly to treat.
I got a call from his job site foreman that Jake was involved in an accident.
It was May 25th, 2023.
And then we were just told something happened with his arm. We didn't understand what that meant.
Jacob Sulzbach's left arm and pelvis had been crushed. And at just 18 years old, Jacob's life hung in the balance.
And then he started having the surgeries. I mean, we didn't really see him much before that until after, he was somewhat stable.
During one surgery, doctors had to amputate Jacob's left arm. Then the attention turned to his bleeding, which was out of control.
He was bleeding internally because it severed his main artery in his leg when his pelvis was crushed. They had to keep on pumping him full of blood the whole time until they could stabilize him. We got taken into a private room and they said the next 24 hours is critical.
But the severity of Jacob's injuries wouldn't let doctors offer the Sulzbachs any guarantees.
When you hear words like that, like catastrophic, they can't open him up, he'll bleed to death. Wait and see, no guarantee. Just those words that, as a parent, you don't want to hear.
Jacob managed to make it through the first 24 hours.
And that seemed to give the whole team of doctors like a sigh of relief as far as this kid's a fighter. He's fighting.
Little did the Sulzbachs know those doctors and nurses were in the ring too.
I don't know how they treat other people, but we felt that Jacob was important to them. We felt, top on their list of who they were treating.
Hours turned into days as Jacob made slow but steady progress, including making it through an 8-hour surgery to reconstruct his crushed pelvis. Once again, doctors turned to a sports metaphor to put that progress in perspective.
What do you tell us? We're like in the NBA Finals. There's a lot of games.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games. We won this one. We're going to win the next one, but we might not win them all. But we're gonna get to the victory.
Though small at first, the victories kept coming.
We couldn't see it day to day, but after a couple weeks, we could reflect back and see where he was. Getting the feeding tubes out of his mouth. His first words.
3 little words.
He would mouth "I love you" to us.
After a month at Mercy One Siouxland Medical Center, Jacob was released and moved to Omaha to start rehab.
You can see in their faces the same, happiness about where Jake's at and that he's progressing and whatnot.
But that meant saying goodbye to Jacob's guardian angels, a medical team the Sulzbachs believe they can never thank enough.
It's a miracle that my son's here, and then you go against science because they're doctors, and it's like they're so good at what they do. But they needed to be there at that time.
They did a miracle. They performed miracles.
Yeah.
Now, Katie, you and I spent about an hour with the Sulzbach family and with Jacob specifically. He continues his therapy. He's working on getting strength back to his left leg. He's also looking for another brace for that leg to increase his strength, and he's looking for a prosthetic for his left arm as well. Without a doubt, a remarkable young man who has come an amazing amount of way in just the last year.
He really has. Now, when a traumatic injury happens like that, it takes a group of medical professionals to get the patient the critical care that they need. Tonight, Dr. Nemechek and Dr. Hockett walk me through trauma medicine.
From the time the patient gets to that hospital, there'll be a trauma surgeon there within 15 minutes.
Trauma can happen at any time to anyone.
Trauma is a big term, and everyone always believes and thinks of car crashes and stabbings and stuff like that. But what people don't realize is trauma also involves falls down the stairs, falls from standing.
Dr. Craig Nemechek is a general trauma surgeon with CNOS.
When I explain to people what I do as a general surgeon, I tell them no bones and no brains.
He and Dr. Josh Hockett, an orthopedic trauma surgeon, answer the call when a trauma enters a Sioux City hospital.
It can be challenging to figure out the treatment plan for multitude of injuries.
Dr. Nemechek and Dr. Hockett were on call when a teenager named Jacob Sulzbach was critically injured in a construction accident.
It was almost a year ago when I first met Jacob, and we recognized immediately that he had injuries both to the arm, the pelvis. He had major blood vessels that had been disrupted, and our job at that point was to try to figure out which one needed attention first and go through the workup and treatment of all those very critical injuries.
He came in severe, kind of unstable condition and had severe crushing injuries to his pelvis, lower extremities, and an essentially traumatic amputation very high up to his left upper extremity.
The two surgeons and a team of medical experts got to work determining what injuries needed immediate intervention and what could wait.
It was really cool to see everybody kind of come together and do the team approach to treat his injuries as effective as possible and as quickly as possible.
The one thing I remember about Jacob specifically was I always remember seeing his dad. Jacob's a teenager, and I have children, and all I could see was the hurt in his dad, and imagine what that would be like.
I think he's got a good family support around him, and I think that he's got the right mindset to be doing well. And with his attitude and with his family support, I'm not surprised that he's doing as well as he is.
I've thought about Jacob's case a lot. I truly believe a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work and skill is why we have the outcome we do today.